April 13, the 103rd day of 2023. There are 262 days left in the year. Good morning, MB. Guiding you through In the Know at K105 on Litchfield's Country Station 1039 The Moose, live online at K105.com via the Apple and Android smartphone app using the SoundCloud, iTunes, or Spotify podcast, on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitter, and the hashtag is In the Know. Coming up today, we'll update you on the latest news headlines from around the community, the county, the Commonwealth, and the country. Also looking forward to a visit from Grayson County Health Director Josh Horton. Going to talk the latest of things going on at the health department. We got that and a whole lot more coming up today here on In the Know. He is the 5-time winner of the coveted Ohio News Hawk Award. He's the 2-time Silver Sound nominee, covering every corner of the globe: London, Budapest, Rio, Tokyo, and even Litchfield. He's Sam Gormley and the Sparks. Morning, Sam.
Morning, Ralph.
How you doing?
Good. How are you? I guess I didn't drop in the extra question.
You're not obligated to ask me how I am. I guess I can just volunteer that information without being asked if I want. I'm a little bit amused. Major League Baseball, they often do the promotions. The Reds do bobblehead night and other things to lure people to the ballpark. I know that the Yankees are, maybe in the next couple of weeks, they're having Anthony Rizzo Mandalorian bobblehead night.
I'm not sure you could. I'm a bobblehead collector, and I'm not sure you could find a combination that has me less interested than having one of the least liked players.
The Phillies had Dollar Dog Night, where they were selling hot dogs for $1, and it turned into a massive food fight at the ballpark.
That's Philadelphia for you.
Does that sound? It was the Marlins were in town, and Citizens Bank Park, 58,000 tube steaks were purchased by a sold-out crowd as part of the promotion of the night.
The Reds used to, maybe 5 or 6 years ago, had a actual, one of the concession stands was dollar hot dogs and dollar sodas and dollar, like maybe small bags of chips.
Yep.
And it was fantastic because my friends and I, it was in the upper decks. It was in the cheap seats, so we could get a ticket for $10 and then each get 4 or 5 hot dogs, and
sure,
we'd spend $20 a person. It'd be good.
You could eat a week's worth of food in just a short period of time. We talk about unintended consequences in our world, and reading that the expedited ball games, the shortened ball games in Major League Baseball because of the pitch clock, are leading to less beer sales because the game's moving so much quicker. There's less time between innings, and then all of a sudden people don't have time to. So they've extended the length of time that they're playing on that they're selling beer at the ballpark. So I also think there might be some other reasons that beer sales have maybe lagged a little bit this week, but that's okay.
If that's it, people are clowns. I'll say that.
Well,
yeah, no, I say
Sam's
that.
calling people clowns.
I will say that because I think you are, if you are doing that for that reason.
Warm, sunny before rain chances return for the weekend today. We'll see tree pollen levels remain at a very high level. We're going to see scattered showers and storms possible for Friday. Better rain chances Saturday night into Sunday. Sunny and 84 today. We'll see cloudy, 56 tonight. Scattered thunderstorms and a high of 76. So that's
good
what
day to spend at the ballpark. Weather
forecast looks like. Are you spending the day at the ballpark today?
Yeah.
Yeah, you got Warren Central?
Yes.
All right.
Sure, we can mention it later.
Yeah, we can talk about that. And over there, we'll also say good morning. Josh Horton's over there. He snuck in on chair number 3. Good morning, Josh.
Good morning.
How you doing?
Better late than never.
Well, that's all right. I'm sure you got very important things to do.
I was actually, happened to look up. I was working, and I was like, oh, I'm supposed to be at the radio station.
Oh, you've already been hard at work this morning. All right. Well, we're just getting some of the morning's news headlines. And yesterday we were talking about body cam footage from the tragedy on Monday. The last 24 hours, we started to be able to sample some of the 911 calls. They released about a 30-minute package of various 911 calls and first responder radio traffic going back to Monday. And if you thought that the video was chilling, the audio is even worse because the video we've seen is from the perspective of law enforcement officers and even from a bystander across the street. But when you start hearing from people inside the building, and even the shooter's mother, who had called 911, she was on the phone with 911 when reports of him being inside the bank and shooting had already taken place. And so to hear her learn that it's what she was calling to try and warn of was already happening was a very emotional thing. You heard from a person driving down the street who saw this person wearing a bulletproof vest and carrying this rifle down the street, what he was wearing. They confirmed that. And also hearing, we had heard worked and we had heard works. And this was one lady said, and their names had not been the names have not been released in any of this. She said, "I'm in a closet hiding," and says that people have been shot. Gives a description of the shooting, saying she knows the shooter. He works with us. So it sounds present tense more than past tense, but there could have been
so many different things on whether he didn't.
Yeah. Well, and it may have been so recent a change in status that
not
maybe it
everybody
hadn't
knew.
even circulated the fact that at that time, when all this was happening, that there might not have been known that something led to a change that went from present tense to past tense. But I'm sure we'll learn about all of that later. I also, the vigil, it was down at the Muhammad Ali Center. They have an outdoor theater there where they had a vigil last night. And one of the speakers, I thought, was an interesting thing. It was a lady from Cincinnati who had been involved in a bank shooting there. And I thought, that's whoever considered inviting her was a really nice move, because she had perspective.
And I want to say she's from Louisville.
She is from Louisville.
And I think she was like visiting the bank on a work related thing, but she didn't work in Cincinnati. She was from Louisville, but I remember that because she got shot like 17 times.
Yeah. Well, and she had the ability she has the perspective and the wisdom to know what it was like in Cincinnati and how that community reacted and how they recovered and tried to heal. And so she was kind of able to offer some information and encourage Louisvillians on, how it will go going forward for there. So anyway, that continues to, get more information out of that situation. There was a big fire in what we call Bloody Ridge yesterday, a massive forest fire in the Big Clifty community involving multiple fire departments. It happened, call went out about 3:15 yesterday for East Grayson and Clarkson fire, but not long after the Litchfield Fire Department got involved, emergency management, and just various first responders there. But originally they thought 100 acres involved, and was their early estimate. So about 60 acres involved yesterday, but big fire in the Bloody Ridge community involving multiple fire departments. A man who pled guilty to molesting 2 young girls in Grayson County over a period of a decade has also pled guilty to similar crimes in Warren County. 37-year-old James Colmore of Bowling Green is scheduled to be sentenced in Grayson County later this month after pleading guilty to sex crimes. Colmore is expected to be given 25 years in prison, and when he's formally sentenced on April 18th, his sentence in Grayson County will run consecutively to the sentence he receives in Warren County. At K105.com, on a much more palatable story, you can read a story that was came from the Grayson County school system about Matthew Davis. And he is 20 years of age. He's a Grayson County High School grad and already achieving and succeeding at a high level. He graduated in 2021. He went through an internship. He's currently with Mid-Park Highway, what you might have formerly known as SST, but kind of one of these, when you build better bridges between labor and education, and you say, we need a particular skill set, and we set the wheels to create these programs and plans, it's also nice to see the fruits of those labors, and Matthew Davis is some of that fruit that was being born by seeds that were planted previously.
Just shows that you don't have to, be an athlete or anything to make a mark in, sign. I know they've done those signing days, which is really cool as well.
Yeah. So anyway, it's a neat story and for you to read there. Yesterday in Elizabethtown, Kentucky GOP gubernatorial candidate Kelly Craft campaigned alongside James Comer and looking to maximize support from the influential home state Republican after missing out on an endorsement from former President Trump. Trump out way early. Trump gave that he gave that endorsement to Daniel Cameron way early, and of course, once he was committed, I think he was committed, even though he picked Kelly Craft on multiple occasions to work in the Trump administration. But more importantly, also, Craft is in Daniel Cameron's hometown of Elizabethtown campaigning yesterday, and will be interesting to see how this race goes. It'll be here before we know it. There's
the KSR debate, I think, is a week from today.
Yeah, and then there's one in Paducah that's this week, I think, that airs early in the day, so you'll be able to see some of those candidates as well. But it's coming at us pretty quickly. A Barron County man is facing multiple charges after holding a woman at knife point following a standoff with police. The Cave City Police Department responded Monday morning about 2 to a reckless driver complaint on Mammoth Cave Road. The 911 caller stated that a red Ford Ranger was driving dangerously and someone was leaning out of the driver's door. Police made contact with the truck and conducted a stop and observed 60-year-old Bobby Logston of Cave City holding a large knife to a female's throat. Officers ordered Langdon to drop the weapon, but he instead climbed over the woman and into the passenger seat and ordered her to drive away. They conducted a second stop. After about an hour of negotiating, Logston surrendered. What's wrong with people?
I thought you were going to say that he jumped out the passenger side thinking that'd be a better way to...
Yeah, who knows what he was thinking. Highway fatalities in Kentucky decreased last year for the first time since 2018, according to Kentucky Transportation Cabinet's Office of Highway Safety, and the state police also involved in this report. The data indicates there were 744 fatalities in 22 compared to 806 in 21. That's a 7.6% drop. While the 62 fatality reduction from 2021 demonstrates a positive step, state highway safety officials are continuing to encourage drivers to practice safe driving behaviors to prevent avoidable deaths. No texting and driving,
Buckle
no
up.
distracted driving, and mercy. For anyone who's not wearing a seatbelt, I do not understand. And I say that, and I hate to, back when I was a kid, but I mean, when I first started driving, seatbelt law was not required.
Did your first car have a seatbelt?
Believe it or not, it did. And
that wasn't me trying to. That was more of a legitimate question.
It was a piece of burlap rope, and you just had to tie it over against the side of the car.
Make sure the horse didn't knock you off.
That's exactly right. But it was hard during that time for people who had driven a long time to not, it was like, I just got to take this extra step. So I kind of get that, but mercy, we're 35 years down the road, and it just, I don't, when I hear stories of people not wearing seatbelts, I'm just amazed. I'm thinking, really?
For me, it's the noise, the beeping noise drives me up the wall. So that's the reason I do it.
Well, but those people are the ones who buckle it behind them and then just sit over it. And I think that just makes no, why you would volunteer to be a crash test dummy, I do not know. Ugonna Onyenso at the University of Kentucky. He's a 6'11" center from Nigeria. Sort of surprised everyone last week when he entered the transfer portal, but I guess he was just trying to test and see, who he would hear from if he entered the portal. But yesterday kind of reversed course and said that he will be coming back to UK on the same day that Chris Livingston, right? Will be declaring for the NBA draft, but will maintain his eligibility. Any surprises there?
I don't, in the way I put this is, I don't think Ugo Onyenso entered the transfer portal. I think he was told that he was entering the transfer portal by some of his quote-unquote handlers.
Oh, yeah.
So since he's a foreign player, he has a lot of people that help him come over. And those people said, you need to enter. And I think Onyenso was saying, no, I want to stay at Kentucky. And I think he kind of won out there at the end. And then the Livingston thing, he does have the opportunity to come back to Kentucky, but I don't think he is. He's in that agency that's run by LeBron and such. Yeah. So you got to imagine that
they know better.
Yeah, and I mean, LeBron can probably call and be like, hey, you need to take this guy.
Could we have twin towers next year between Bradshaw, who's at 7'1", and Oyenzo, who's at 6'11"? Can you imagine seeing them play at the same time?
Cal's going to try it.
Of course, everybody's taller now than they used to be. A long time ago when you had the twin towers at UK, they stood head and shoulders above everybody, but teams have just gotten, taller and longer.
Well, they were about
all that.
7 foot and 6'11", though, weren't they?
Yeah, that's
I was gonna
exactly
say,
right.
yeah.
But that was at a
I
time
see
when
what
you
you're
had
saying. I see what you're saying.
your guards were 6'1" and 6'2". You weren't playing 6'7" guards and that size, so it's just a little bit different. And then this surprised me: 33 vacuum cleaners stolen from Bed Bath & Beyond. Boardman, New Jersey police are investigating after 33 vacuum cleaners were stolen from BB&B in Boardman early Saturday morning. Police were dispatched just after 4 a.m. in response to a burglary alarm activation. They say camera footage shows a male suspect breaking into the store through the window and heading for the storage room in the back of the store. 33 Dyson vacuum cleaners with values between $500 and $750 each. $17,000 worth of merchandise was taken.
And it's not like a vacuum's it's not like he stole 33 toasters. I mean, like a vacuum's
It's a pretty good the packaging on it's pretty good size, but of course, you're going to
it'd
try
have to be 33 trips
liquidate
almost.
these. But is that the most expensive thing in a Bed Bath & Beyond?
Oh no, I bet.
No.
I bet you can get,
I didn't
some
even know
pots
Bed
and
Bath &
pans.
Beyond was still a thing.
We almost went to Bed Bath & Beyond the other day. She said, "You want to go there?" I said, "I'm going way beyond. I'm going in the back to see Christopher Walken, see how he's doing." I love that movie, Click. We got to get to a break. We'll come back. Got more on the way here on In the Know.
For more than 70 years, Owensboro Health Twin Lakes Medical Center has cared for the health of our friends, neighbors, and family members in Grayson County and beyond. We've celebrated every beautiful newborn, every successful surgery, and every healed injury. Owensboro Health Twin Lakes Medical Center is focused on finding solutions to your health challenges. As part of the Owensboro Health System, we want to keep you healthy. We want to make you proud.
Thinking about furthering your education? At Elizabethtown Community and Technical College, you'll get a high-quality education close to home at a cost that won't break the bank. Enjoy small class sizes with professors who take a personal interest in your success. Scholarships are still available, making our low tuition even more affordable.
ECTC's Litchfield campus is now enrolling for classes that start June 5th.
Visit elizabethtown.kc2 to get started. ECTC, college for the real world.
Successful small business owners know that having an ally in decoding the data of your business performance is vital. A trusted source that can interpret financial reports, advise on tax code, and assess overall performance can be the difference between sleepless nights and peace of mind. The certified public accounting firm of Buckles, Travis & Hart is your ally in making sure your business is performing at an optimum level. Call or contact today to find out how Buckles, Travis & Hart can help fine-tune your business to create peak performance. 270-259-5604. GraysonCPAs.com.
The Grayson County Health Department has been a staple of our local community for years, and our dedication to serving hasn't wavered. The Health Department offers several services. We have a clinic ready to serve the community when needed. We also perform environmental services such as permitting and restaurant inspections. We have a committed team of hands workers too. They love working with new moms and dads and collaborating to achieve strong parenting skills. And we have an education academy that offers free education resources for our local schools and residents. We are here to serve you. For more information about GCHG, visit our website at myhealthdepartment.org.
Are you looking for a stable career with excellent benefits, 401k match, paid time off, and tuition reimbursement? Cormark is here. We are ready to support you and your career goals. When you join us, you'll discover a culture that encourages you to grow and challenges you to achieve. We embrace each employee as family. Our incentive pay structure rewards you based on your own performance. Show us your commitment, and we'll show you how to earn the money you deserve. Call a recruiter today, 270-259-9341, or stop by for an interview. Walk-ins welcome. Cormark is an equal opportunity employer.
Congratulations! You're gonna be a mom, and we're here to help every adorably tiny step of the way. Now, expectant and new mothers up to 1 year are eligible for no-cost health coverage through K-CHIP or Medicaid. Just visit us at connect.ky.gov/K-CHIP to qualify and enroll. Then sit back and relax for a minute, okay?
you've got enough going on.
Free public phone charging stations are everywhere, and the FBI is now warning consumers to steer clear. The agency tweeted people should avoid using them in airports, hotels, or shopping centers, warning bad actors have figured out how to introduce malware onto people's devices. It's known as juice jacking, and devices with compromised USB cables can be hijacked with usernames, passwords, and other data stolen. The FBI suggests carrying your own charger and USB cord and use an electrical outlet instead. Google TV is adding 800 free streaming channels. The additional content comes with some of its partners, including Tubi, Plex, and Haystack News. Google's aggression of several existing free TV services is a move to differentiate its streaming platform from Roku, Apple, and Amazon. And HBO Max is rebranding to just Max. Warner Brothers Discovery officially announced the new name for the streaming service as it mixes in content from Discovery Plus. Tech Report, Matt Mattinson, NBC.
Today is Scrabble Day. 1899, the inventor of Scrabble, Alfred Butts, was born.
Is Christy a Scrabble fan? I know she likes. Is that one of her go-tos?
Yeah.
Quick, somebody make a word.
She likes Scrabble.
Yeah, right. Words with Friends.
The proposed names for early versions were Lexico and Crisscross Words. It just became Scrabble.
I like Scrabble better.
Trademarked in 1948. The game was just a fad with Butts' friends until a Macy's executive saw it being played at a resort in 1952, and the then world's largest department store soon began carrying it, and the rest is history. Today is International Plant Appreciation Day. Potted plants, shared seeds, plants, clippings from your garden.
I know for a fact that Christy does appreciate that.
Mercy.
Our jungle has left our lobby.
I told her the other day that we live at 50 Shades of Green. It's like it's an unbelievable a number of houseplants or starts or little things that are clipping, and she has an app on her phone that when she sees something growing, she can scan it to see what it is and identify it. So if you're looking to buy houseplants, I know who you need to call. And somebody who can tell you how to take care of houseplants, more importantly. And then it is Make Lunch Count Day today. Sam and Josh, don't go willy-nilly with lunch today. You make lunch count.
Mm-hmm. So
right?
what's...
Take the boring out of lunch. Just make sure lunch is not boring in some way.
What do you classify as boring lunch?
I think...
Is that open to interpretation?
To each his own. What's boring to you may not be boring to me.
I'm working with a trainer right now, and I can tell you exactly what boring lunch is.
You probably what you're eating.
Compartmentalized and low carb, low calorie, and just not something you sit and think about. Like, I just can't wait to eat that zucchini and grilled chicken breast.
More of just a function of life rather than enjoying a meal. Josh, I guess it's kind of interesting that you're here the day after the federal government collectively decides that the COVID-19 pandemic is over, like officially. Finite, like all the things that we spun up during the time, those things change.
Is there room for me to do a backflip in here?
There is plenty of room for you to do that. Now,
do we need to call EMS
first?
Probably.
At least have them on standby. Just dial 911 and then wait. When it was announced that the official end, like even everybody acknowledging, okay, now we're just fooling ourselves that this is still a pandemic, because it hasn't been a pandemic for a long time as far as I'm concerned. But it did make me wonder what things have happened over the last 3 years that we've just sort of taken for granted, that when someone officially says, this is over, like the federal government says, this is no more, that all of a sudden we'll get surprised and go, oh, I didn't know that was going to go away. Are there any things that you can think of that you all have come to just know as a daily routine or course or offerings that suddenly will be different now that it's, again, I'm using my quote fingers, over?
I think that funding for public health, in a sense, we're going to see a lot of that funding dwindle. And you've heard me say on the program before, I'm concerned that going forward, people will forget the importance of public health and how, whether you agree with some of the steps that were taken or not in the state and across the country and the world, it was vital to deal with the pandemic. I want to make sure that we stay on good ground to face the next pandemic, because something like this, hopefully it's 100 years from now, I don't want to deal with it as public health director again. So funding, there's some different legal stuff that you'll see and jargon that has changed. And the main thing is also, which I think this was already happening, Mark, prior to them scaling back, but people who had qualified for expansion of health insurance because of the pandemic are now falling off the coverage, and they have a certain date, and I don't know the date off the top of my head, but it's on our website.
You took me exactly where I was headed.
Well, good.
I don't have that date for you, but I wanted to mention a word to you that I saw yesterday, and it was called the Medicaid unwind. Like, it's not everybody's off. It's a gradually unwinding of people that got added to, and then Medicaid will be working with those people in probably pods or groups to get them migrated to wherever it is they need to go, or requalifying to see if they now currently meet the standards involved for Medicaid, et cetera. So rather than just completely upsetting the apple cart, to me, it's sort of more of an unwind. Do you see other unwinding going on, or do you think this is sudden change?
I will see, we're going to see reporting, which it's already been scaling back anyways, but like the state has a specific website you go to monitor COVID numbers. You're going to see stuff like that change, and it's going to be more centralized, and instead of going to all these different websites and stuff, you're probably only going to be able to find it in one place versus all over, because you don't have all these different agencies recording and reporting it. And I think from there, it's just kind of seeing, what happens in the political realm of things, and what else is deemed as we can cut because we're no longer in a pandemic.
I will be curious to know, and none of us, it probably won't be us that does it. Maybe the two of you, but probably not me, because I'm older than you all are. But if you go back to 1918 and the Spanish flu, as it was called then.
Now, I know you're not that old.
I remember the day that pandemic was over. I'm curious to know how long after the 1918 pandemic, whenever they moved along and said, okay, we're behind this, how many years did it take before it was no longer a part of active communication on a regular basis?
I'm curious. Just thinking history-wise, how much did World War I, though, have an effect on whether World War I kind of overshadowed the end of it, because that was about the end of World War I, too, as well. That so many people were worried about, oh, that's over with, and it just kind of like the Spanish flu just kind of got swept under the rug with that. I don't know. I'm not a historian, but that just, to me, is at least thinking in that
I think you have a very important point there. It's what we will move on to next, because there will be something. It might not be a pandemic, and it might not be public health related, but it'll be something.
But don't you think, though, that in the BC AD delineation, that there is a pre-COVID ideology and a post-COVID ideology or understanding that how long will it be before we stop attributing things to or as a result of, or well, let me rephrase and just ask a simple question. Josh, how many times in the last 3 years do you think you've uttered the phrase with everything that's been going on?
No, a lot. But still with manufacturing and products, and we're doing a lot of remodeling at the health department, and the suppliers, it's always like, well, it's because of COVID. COVID's messing with the production. I think now people are just now, not to pick on that supplier, but I think it's not just them. COVID's just still being used.
It's a convenient excuse, isn't it?
There you go.
So I guess so my question remains, will it be our children that then don't use COVID as the litmus against everything? Or when will we, how long after 1918 did people not talk about the Spanish flu or whatever on the regular, so to speak? But I guess we'll just have to wait and find out. Now, we also just wrapped up a 30-day legislative session. And I had not studied anything along the way that really led me to believe that it was public health related that much. But I did see a bill signing earlier this week that the bill that was signed was, I believe, sponsored by a representative from Morgantown, and it basically directs the Kentucky Department of Aged and Independent Living to share dementia statistics and awareness and information with health departments across the state. And I never really kind of correlated those two things together, or as it appears to, as the legislature impacts health departments. But it really does. Is there anything else in the session that you're aware of that impacts you?
Yes, there was actually with the bill that deals with education and gender identity and a bunch of other stuff in our what we called growing up sex ed. There's actually now a rule in the past where if you had a child in school and you didn't want your child to take sex ed, you would have to sign a form taking them out. Now you have to opt in versus opting out. And let me add on that, the curriculum we use does not actually go over gender identity. It's just in the bill of that, you know, how they put stuff in with bills and kind of cram it all in together.
Yep.
They're actually changing sex education in schools to where parents now have to opt their kids in. So that's going to be a problem going forward for health departments, because it's going to get a lot more difficult to get kids enrolled, because it's easier to say, well, you have to opt out if you don't want to, versus well, you need to take this home and get it signed and bring it in if you're going to take this
So you have
class.
to choose to instead of choose not to.
There you go.
And there are some, and I don't know. I mean, every parent will have to decide, and it's just a decision that you have to make. But I also, going from my adolescence and, you know, my upbringing, I can just tell you from, you know, life in the 80s or so, that I think a lot of ignorance or lack of importance placed on what I'm gonna call reproductive health, then eventually landed at the doorstep of public health, because then you were managing circumstance rather than managing education.
Yes.
And so it's okay with, like, I completely understand if you don't opt to, but you have to address that subject matter some way, or now you're trying to close barn doors after horses are out.
Yeah, and this very important part I want to say here. Grayson County Health Department, and to my knowledge, none of the health departments across the state have this program to try to change a child's, you know, identity or talk with them about their sexuality. Sexual education, or what did you call it? Reproductive
health is what it was more commonly referred to, you know.
Very similar. It's evolved some since we were in school, but it's about making good choices and making sure that we're giving kids the education, in which the main component that we still teach is abstinence being best. But the consequences of, you know, having sex at an early age, and also healthy relationships, because we're starting to see, Mark, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade little girls who are reporting being in abusive relationships.
Yeah.
So these are the things we cover. And unfortunately, it's been kind of intertwined, and people think it has to do with gender identity and pronouns, and that's not what it is whatsoever.
We were having a discussion Sunday morning, and it kind of brushes up against some of these issues that we just kind of been having to address. That I think I said that we were talking about revolutions, and we think of the American Revolution, or we think of the digital revolution. I think we're in a cultural revolution at this time. You know, there are just some major shifts in subject matter that we're having to sort through as a society that are heavy lifts. You know, they're things that I would have never imagined a decade ago that we were dealing with or arguing over or trying to legislate our way through. So lots of challenges across the landscape right now, especially in public health.
Exactly. And we're going to continue, I think, to see things come up. You were talking about when we move from COVID. I think this will be something years down the road, because the mental health capacity of it, Mark. You know, kids are still dealing with the feelings of isolation, dealing with depression, anxiety, having panic attacks, and a lot of that goes back to being separated from their peers. There's just a lot of mental health aspects that we don't understand. So we're going to be talking about this many years from now. Is probably a trauma that a lot of us are dealing with and facing, especially our kids.
You know, I'm certainly not a public health official, and feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, but I've lived a lot of life, and I've lived through the pandemic along with each of you. And here's what I think about mental health. We are fooling ourselves if we didn't have major mental health issues that needed to be addressed 3 years ago.
Exactly.
But where we are 3 years down the road is we can now use COVID as the justification to remove the stigma that opens our minds to the idea of being more in tune to mental health issues. Because now every child, every adult can go to a mental health professional or can have internal dialogue and just go, well, I'm going to blame this on COVID because I certainly didn't have it before COVID, but now we all do, and now I can feel comfortable and confident in addressing it. In the same way we've used COVID as a convenient excuse to do lots of things we have wanted or not wanted to. This is an unintended good byproduct that we have a place to place at the doorstep. We can place our anxiety or our stress at the doorstep of COVID and say, that's why I have it, and now we can address it.
I think there are going to be many positive things that can, it's not all doom and gloom, and it's not all bad. Exactly. I think that the way we do things, I was sitting here thinking something that's it's funny to me, but I was thinking it gave you that excuse not to be around relatives who you didn't want to see for a while. Because you're like, oh, well, sure. You could be contagious. But there are many good things that I think that are going to come from this, and hopefully it does tear down the walls for people to access mental health services.
Curbside pickup. One of the, we will have COVID to forever thank for curbside.
Yeah, I think it did. I think it's changed the way people dine because now when I think about going out to eat, it's very rarely in my mind do I think, oh, I'm going to go in and sit, unless it's like a sit-down place. But if it's like one of these fast food places that I used to go in, very rarely does that come to mind.
Throw it in on the app.
Yeah, and
don't even have to leave the car.
Let's go one step further. Because of the social distancing ideas, we had to be considerate of that during the period. Now, it's probably much more popular to get curbside pickup and then go to City Park and find a picnic table, right? Where you're away from everyone, you can dine and enjoy. And so there are things we've discovered out of necessity that I think we will embrace now that are good for us that we didn't consider before.
I even there's the one fast food restaurant that you can order it on the app, and to pick it up inside, they just leave it on the shelf inside. So you just walk in there and you grab it. You don't have to talk to anybody. It's nice and quick.
Just nod, wave, go on.
I didn't even have to do that earlier in the week.
You should.
Well, no one was around. I didn't want to pop my head back there and say I'm taking it.
Do the political way.
Yeah.
Right. I'm also concerned Tupperware is in danger of going out of business. Did you see that headline? Yeah, so they finally, after 77 years, once they started selling in Target, it took their multi-network marketing model away, and so after 77,
there's so many different.
I know, but that's the thing. We still call it Tupperware.
It's like Kleenex.
Yeah, it's absolutely.
So we're going to have to learn what's going to seal the deal on this. Get it? Seal the deal.
Got it. We got to get to a break. Josh Horton is here. You can stay, can't you, Josh?
Yeah.
All right. We got plenty more on the way. Hang around here on In the Know.
We didn't forget about the crumbs at the bottom of the McCrispy bag. We're just prolonging our time with every last bit of crispy, juicy, tender. For a limited time, you can enjoy every last bit of the new Bacon Ranch McCrispy Sandwich at any size Southern style sweet tea for only $1.29. Take a bite of our latest McCrispy at McDonald's. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. Price and participation may vary. Cannot be combined with any other offer.
This is Kentucky, where the only thing ordinary is the unexpected.
I got everything you need.
Horse country, legendary distilleries, rivers to paddle, lakes to splash and relax, big city vibes and small town charms. This is Kentucky. Come see for yourself. Plan your road trip at KentuckyTourism.com.
I got everything you need.
I'm getting vaccinated with Prevnar 20.
So am I, because I'm at risk for pneumococcal pneumonia.
I'm asking about Prevnar 20 because there's a chance pneumococcal pneumonia could put me in the hospital.
Age 65 or older, you may be at increased risk for pneumococcal pneumonia. Ask your doctor or pharmacist about getting vaccinated with Prevnar 20, pneumococcal 20-valent conjugate vaccine, a Pfizer vaccine that can help protect against pneumococcal pneumonia in just one dose. Prevnar 20 is approved for adults to help prevent infections from 20 strains of the bacteria that cause pneumococcal pneumonia. Continued approval may depend on a supportive study. Don't get Prevnar 20 if you've had a severe allergic reaction to the vaccine or its ingredients. Adults with weakened immune systems may have a lower response to the vaccine. The most commonly reported side effect was pain at the injection site. For additional common side effects and full prescribing information, please call 1-855-213-2138 or visit Prevnar20.com.
I want to be able to keep my plans.
So I'm asking my doctor about getting vaccinated with Prevnar 20.
K105 Weather is brought to you by Future Designs Building Materials on Quarry Road in Litchfield.
Twin Lakes weather.
An air quality alert in effect for today as we see temperatures jumping into the low 80s for highs tomorrow, 70s with scattered showers and thunderstorms in the forecast. For your Saturday, rain moves in, but not till Saturday night, and a lot of that rain will linger into Sunday. From the Wave News Storm Tracking Team, I'm meteorologist Tawana Andrew.
I've got 2 tickets to paradise. I've got 2 tickets to paradise.
Did you know T-shirts were invented in 1904 aimed at bachelors who couldn't sew or fix buttons?
Well, thank God for that.
That's what T-shirts were invented for, and then they were quickly embraced by the U.S. military. That was part of your basic military, especially sailors. Originally, they were wearing lots of T-shirts because they were easy, didn't require a lot of buttons, and didn't require having seamstress.
Could you say? I mean,
what's the plural of seamstress? Seamstresses?
I would think so.
That's hard to say. Can I just say seamstry?
Just think though, what would be the K105 T-shirt without a T-shirt?
That's absolutely right. It would be
what I'm wearing now.
It would be a K105 tunic. That's what Prince Harry will attend King Charles' coronation without Meghan. So let me ask you: does she have to go?
I think they would rather her not.
Oh, I'm sure they would rather her not. But the optics of her not going for the coronation
stay for the kids.
of the king. But
for Archie, right?
She has Archie in a little bit. But I mean, they're royals. This is the coronation of their grandfather. But it shows you how bad the relationship is that his grandchildren won't be there for his coronation because of his daughter-in-law.
Do you think if it was William, do you think she'd go? That's the interesting thing. Is it Charles or is it the entire thing?
I think it's the whole thing.
I think I've read several times, and I love the British monarchy, just saying. That
well,
there
now we
is
have an expert. We've been looking for the expert on it.
It's totally gossip in the tabloids. So but there's kind of like an issue between Meghan and Kate. They don't get along.
Yeah, I mean,
so then maybe it would be more so that William.
That's probably one of the things that is also helping to sour the brothers' relationship. But really, think about this: there are two royal grandchildren that will not be at the coronation of their grandfather as king because of their mother. Now, when they grow up, when they're 30 years old, how will they feel about,
Well, you got to think when they're 30, they'll probably already have a King William by that point, so they'll already get to experience a coronation, and one that they'll probably remember.
Probably.
Because how old's Archie?
That's the other thing, too, is the forks get wider. Like, as trees grow bigger and older, the branches get wider and wider. So when you go out this branch and they go out this branch, so then it will, by then, George will have children, and, 30 years from now, Prince George will have, and so it'll just...
Gosh, I'm just thinking 30 years from now. I'll be 56 years old.
There's apparently a Big Bang Theory spinoff in the works.
Real? Is it like, because I'm hearing a lot of people that want like them 30 years down the road, or maybe not quite that long, but like when Sheldon and them have kids.
Right. I will tell you, there have been some Easter eggs in Young Sheldon that answer questions, because old Sheldon is the narrator in Young Sheldon, and it is narrated post Big Bang Theory. So he makes references to things that happened beyond the finale of Big Bang Theory that do confirm things that you always wondered. Now, I will not share those, but when you find those Easter eggs in the dialogue, in the narration of Young Sheldon, it's like, ooh, I just found some gold.
Now, here's the question is if it is like 20 years down the road and they have kids, does Sheldon's son need to be like an idiot and like a football player, or does he need to be almost smarter than Sheldon, like to make it be interesting to see, or maybe have one of each?
We may or may not already have those answers. I'm just telling you.
I never got into Big Bang Theory.
You've not watched Young Sheldon, so you wouldn't know
how
much information you may be able to distill down from the content. Muppets Mayhem, Chris Stapleton, Lil Nas X, Tommy Lee, and more will pay homage in the series trailer. If you want music, people have been yelling for Muppet Mayhem, and it's finally coming to Disney Plus. But Chris Stapleton, Cheech and Chong, Kesha, Morgan Freeman.
How old are Cheech and Chong?
I mean, they're forever young.
I thought they already Cheech and Chong right out of the world.
Yeah.
I mean, they're getting up there.
Speaking of Disney Plus, The Mandalorian, fans are not happy with the show's third season, calling it the worst in the series. I've not made it halfway through the first episode, but some of that just for lack of making a commitment to watching it. About every other day, I think, I need to go watch The Mandalorian, and then I don't.
Have you talked to Yukon about it?
I have not. I haven't seen Yukon for a month. So
Yukon Cornelius?
Yeah. I haven't seen him to ask him about it, but I don't know. But speaking of The Mandalorian, Pedro Pascal nearly quit acting due to constant rejection. And now he's kind of one of the biggest stars in the world between The Story of Us. Is that the HBO show that I don't watch? He's The Mandalorian.
Yeah, I was going to say he is in that.
Mm-hmm. An update, the Harry Potter series adaptation officially ordered at HBO Max.
We don't need this.
Am I obligated to call it Max already, or do I still call it HBO Max?
Well, I guess I don't know when they're changing, but we don't need this.
You don't need it?
No. I mean,
that would have been like a Star Wars fan saying they didn't need Mandalorian.
Yeah, but the Star Wars isn't based on books. Like, it's not based on a set of... I mean, like, the Harry Potter books is, the 7 books. They've already made them all. And I know they had a couple offshoots, but really it's just those 7 books, and everyone kind of ended in the right way. If anything, do it to where Harry and, spoiler alert, Ginny's kids are going to Hogwarts for the first time. Like, that would be where you'd want to go to it. I don't think we need to redo the entire thing.
Each season of the show will be based on one of the books in the franchise, with Warner Brothers Discovery describing the show as a decade-long series. It will feature an entirely new cast from the film.
And see, I feel bad for whoever gets casted, because they're just going to be compared to Daniel Radcliffe and Rupert Grint and Emma Watson, as far as the 3 characters.
Josh, what house would the Sorting Hat place you in?
Well, I was never allowed to watch Harry Potter growing up. Okay. So I didn't
Not Slytherin. You don't want to be Slytherin.
No. Maybe like a Hufflepuff or a Ravenclaw.
I always wanted to be Gryffindor.
Uh-huh. So. You maybe have a little.
Is that the big dude with the hat?
Well, the Sorting Hat was responsible.
You're maybe thinking of Dumbledore.
It basically put you in
Gryffindor, Dumbledore,
in your homeroom.
Mm-hmm.
It's the Sorting Hat decided what homeroom.
4 houses, each one had like a different meaning, and you put the hat on when you got chosen there, and it told you which homeroom you were in.
The Sorting Hat would tell you where you.
Oh, I remember this.
You snuck and watched
when I became an adult. Yeah,
give it a watch. They're good shows. Good movies.
Then Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 is in the works and will feature Nathan Fillion, but more importantly, Sylvester Stallone.
All right, I was going to say, that looks like Sylvester Stallone.
Rambo is going to be in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Rocky.
Adrian.
Rambo. Yeah, will Adrian be in Guardians of the Galaxy?
Well, I guess he's not involved in Creed anymore, right? So he's got to find something.
She'll be Groot. We got to get to the break. Come back. Finish it up for the morning here on In the Know.
Most people think success is about how well you handle achievement, but actually, success is about how well you handle failure. Legendary golfer Tiger Woods was once asked if there was one shot in his career where he'd go back and take a mulligan. His answer was surprising. You'd think that he'd want to go back to 1998 when he suffered his only career playoff loss to Billy Mayfair by only one shot. Or back to 2002 when Tiger lost the PGA Championship, a major tournament, by one shot. But no, when asked what shot he'd want to have back, Tiger's answer was none. Why? Because even though his one and only goal is to win, Tiger has learned to accept his failure right alongside his success. Failure, he believes, is inevitable when you risk chasing success. Bobby Jones, another golfing legend, believed the same thing. In fact, he once compared the game of golf to life by saying, you get bad breaks from good shots, and you get good breaks from bad shots. Either way, you have to play the ball as it lies. There are no mulligans in golf, and there are no mulligans in life. Each day presents us with challenges and opportunities over which we have little to no control. What matters most is how we respond, whether we're building a career, building a marriage, or building up our children. Success is about taking the good with the bad and playing each moment as it lies. For Focus on the Family, I'm Jim Daly.
People ask me sometimes, Lance, I'm worried about my finances and I feel bad because I should be worried, right? I realize that inflation is going to be eating up money. I've got to do something to get around this crazy stock market and Biden's spending spree. Gold has, since the beginning of time, been the resource that God's people have relied on. The silver is mine and the gold is mine, is what the prophet Haggai said during a time of great shaking. To protect your retirement, I recommend that you diversify your 401k or IRA right out of paper assets and into physical gold. And the best way to do that is with Gold IRA from the Birch Gold Group. To see how it works, text the word DIVINE to 989898 to get a free info kit on Gold IRAs. Remember, there are no strings attached. By diversifying your retirement account into gold, your savings can be protected. Just text that word DIVINE, DIVINE, to 989898. Take action right now, and I pray that your family is blessed with continued prosperity.
This is Kentucky, where the only thing ordinary is the unexpected.
I got everything you need.
Horse country, legendary distilleries, rivers to paddle, lakes to splash and relax, big city vibes and small town charms. This is Kentucky. Come see for yourself. Plan your road trip at KentuckyTourism.com.
I got everything you need. I was born in Little Rock, had a childhood sweetheart.
EMB's Point to Ponder for today. What discontinued items would you like to see brought back? You know, shared earlier that Tupperware may be on its way out. Somebody will probably eventually buy that off the trash heap of history because the brand has such recognition. So it may dissolve, but then later someone will buy the brand, but it will never be the same the way that it's made. But are there other things, though, that have been discontinued? Chevy's going to stop making the Camaro. You know, they've done that a couple of times in history, but it's going away for a while.
5 years,
yeah, it'll eventually make its way back because people go, oh, I had one of those. But are there other things you can think of that? So I just glanced. Pound puppies is on the list of things that should be brought back. Fried apple pies at McDonald's.
Agreed.
Does McDonald's not have fried apple pies? I didn't know that.
I think they just do cookies
now. If we're talking McDonald's, bring back the snack wrap. I was a fan.
Would be good.
Or there was the Mexican taco place that would do the double-decker tacos. That was one of my favorites they got rid of.
Didn't 3D Doritos come back?
I don't know.
Because remember they came in like a Pringles looking can. And I love those things. But I think I
know what you're talking about.
They came back.
Sweet corn Pringles?
So what about on this list that I searched, Game Boy? But
I had a Game Boy. Game Boy Advance.
So did I. But isn't the Switch just the
Yeah.
evolution of Game Boy. I mean, something has to really go away for it to.
Because it went, Game Boy, you had DS/PSP, and then you kind of went into the Switch realm.
I think it's like
and then
fashion.
you had the Wii U too. I think
we evolve so much, and then someone finally says we're out of ideas, like TV. So let's go back and remake stuff.
Oh, it's all about the waist, right? The waist of your pants goes high, and then it goes lower, 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 lower until it's down below your butt, and then it goes back to the top again.
And then bell bottoms.
Yeah,
Boom.
it's just a cycle.
Short length.
It's like a lunar cycle.
The best way is, basketball players' short lengths.
Yeah,
like,
that's
look at the John
exactly right.
Calipari era, just how it's moved and shifted back and forth.
But now
in
they've
Kentucky.
all decided, though, they got to wear compression shorts under those short shorts.
and tuck the shorts into them.
Yep. Jello 1, 2, 3. I don't ever remember seeing Jello 1, 2, 3.
I got it, guys.
What is it?
Flintstones Push Pops. Do
Flintstones
you remember
Push
the
Pops.
Flintstones
Orange
Push Pops?
flavored?
Picture me, 5 years old, dirty face with sticky Flintstone Push Pop on my mouth.
See, I didn't like the orange flavored. That just
Oh,
wasn't
it's like the sherbet. It's like
yeah,
sherbet.
it just wasn't.
I
wasn't.
like Push Pops,
Listen,
but I didn't know the Flintstones.
My
ones were
dad used to
particularly
take
good.
me.
Oh yeah, because your fingers would get sticky too, because you're shoving your
Yes.
finger up.
My
in the,
dad would take me
to
and
push
buy
the
me
pop
these.
up.
He would take me and buy these. There's this little store. You know, remember the mom and pops like general stores? He'd put me up and let me play pinball machine, and then I get a push pop. Precious memories.
Also on that list was PB Crisps, peanut butter crisps from Planters, like mid 1990s. Those were out.
I don't remember those.
So
Yeah, it's before my time.
anyway, I'm sure you could spend a lot of time.
You see, nothing like directly. I would have to sit and think about what it would be.
TV tonight, Grey's Anatomy on ABC. Bravo has
still on?
Top Chef, and Young Sheldon is on CBS tonight.
Cougar baseball against Warren Central, 6 o'clock first pitch. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, watch it for free. You get notified that way, so it's a good way to do it.
I think Cougars are going to win.
I hope so. They need to. Hopefully, they can snap the losing streak and slay the Dragons.
Ah,
that way you don't have to. Yeah, I was going to say about the subscription. The good thing about that is you don't have to worry about forgetting, because that's sometimes happened to me. I go, oh, I forgot, but I get a notification that says, oh, ball game's starting.
Yes, and it's a great way to do it. It lets you know. I think like 10 minutes prior too.
What is this?
YouTube.
Oh.
Have you subscribed to the K105
on,
YouTube?
On your phone, go to
Yeah.
the K105. Go to YouTube and make sure you subscribe to K105, so you'll know like when we do important health and health department information on
And,
YouTube.
Footage of aircraft too.
Drones.
Today's highlight in
That
history.
airdrop.
This date in 1970, Apollo 13, 4/5 of the way to the moon, was crippled when a tank containing liquid oxygen burst. Houston, we've had a problem. That actually, there was a breakup. He said, Houston, we've had a problem, not Houston, we have a problem.
It's one of those. It's like Luke, I am your father is never actually said, right?
That's correct. He just says, I am your father. In 1861, at the start of the Civil War, Fort Sumter in South Carolina fell to Confederate forces. The first James Bond novel was published this date in 1953. It was Casino Royale.
I can't remember. Sir what is his name?
Ian Fleming.
Ian Fleming.
In 1997, Tiger Woods became the youngest person to win the Masters tournament. Interestingly enough, Ian Fleming was knighted, but then so was Sean Connery, and I think so was Roger Moore.
Mm-hmm.
I think they were so everybody from the who penned the James
Pierce Brosnan?
Bond. No, Pierce Brosnan not getting knighted, I don't think. Birthdays
Roger Lazenby?
today. Definitely not Roger Lazenby. Bill Conti is 81. Al Green is 77. Peebo Bryson is 72. Peebo. Gary Kasparov, the chess grandmaster, is 60. I always thought he was older, but he is only 60 today.
I don't know that I could have named you one chess masters.
Oh, really? Caroline Ray, the comedian, is 59. Ricky Schroeder, Mr. Silver Spoons himself, is 53. Lou Bega is 48.
Mambo number 5.
A little bit of Monica in my life.
No,
A little bit of Jessica by my side.
that chess master doesn't use the buzzer system, does he?
No buzzer systems. he plays four-dimensional chess, like on Big Bang Theory. Thomas Jefferson, born in 1743. F.W. Woolworth, born in 1852. Paul Sorvino in 1939. Tony Dow, born in 1945. You all know who Tony Dow is?
Is he a singer?
Wally, he was known to sing in the shower from time to time.
That's where I
Wally
got that.
Cleaver on Leave It to Beaver.
Oh. Is that Right to the Moon, or am I thinking of the wrong?
That's the Honeymooners. That's, It's the Cramdens.
That was my grandma's favorite line.
1961, Jorgen Ingman with Apache.
It's amazing how much is slowed down to
The Sugar Hill Gang came along and made it really popular.
Well, and then
and now some
jump on it.
Now it's what is it? Ozempic that uses it now.
Well, I don't know. Because I know it.
The lady who's leading the marching band. It's the bed music for some commercial that's on all the time.
I don't know.
They probably only play that commercial on channels that are trying to reach me. They're not trying to reach you guys.
TV Land.
Yeah, let's go to the old people. Let's try to reach the upper demographic.
Hey, I like TV Land. Oh, this is a good one right here.
Spirit
My
in the
dad loves
Sky.
this song.
So if you don't know, when I really decided to love this song, 1970 was the year. This is in the opening sequence of the movie Michael. John Travolta, when he plays the angel.
Yep.
When he gets up and he's got the wings, he's in his boxer shorts. He's like scratching his rear end.
He's smoking a cigarette.
Yeah, he's walking into the kitchen and Spirit in the Sky is playing. It's got a really nice riff, a guitar riff on it. It's really good. Oh, mercy, we're late. Let's go to 1979, the Doobie Brothers, What a Fool Believes. He came from home. Devil Inside NXS in 1988. You Were Meant for Me, Jewel in 1997. SOS Rihanna in 06. Uptown Funk, Mark Ronson, 2015. Josh, thanks for coming in.
You're welcome. Really quick, just
good
want to
see
say, if you're on WIC, we're fixing to go back in person. I was supposed to tell people that. So if you're a WIC recipient, make sure you're getting in touch with the health department to understand why the emergency going away for COVID.
So
how
that's
gonna
another one of
impact you.
those things, right?
Yes.
Did somebody send you a message and say you forgot to say that?
No,
Okay.
I had it on my paper and I remember.
Good. You finally. Well, that's good that you didn't. Somebody didn't have to prod you and go, "You almost forgot."
Sometimes they do.
MB's Pearl of Wisdom for today. Everyone wants to live on top of the mountain, but all the happiness and growth occurs while you're climbing it. Everyone wants to live on top of the mountain, but all the happiness and growth occurs while you're climbing it. MB's Pearl of Wisdom for today. Remember, God loves you, and I do too. If you don't know Jesus, let me know, and I'll introduce you. Look forward to seeing you back here tomorrow for another edition of our show. For Sam Gormley, for Josh Horton, I'm MB, and now you're in the know.
Powering through the Twin Lakes with the best mix of music, news, weather, and fun. If it's in the Twin Lakes, it's on K1.